Okay, welcome everybody here. Ryan Gunness here. I'm a recruiter on demand, and today we have a little special interview lined up for you. I'm going to be interviewing Gary Coxe here, and just a little bit of background. If you don't know Gary, he's worked with a lot of large network marketing companies and leaders in the industry, and he's really helped a lot of people, go to that next level in their business. So, my goal here with this little interview is that you guys get some valuable nuggets that you can really take away and apply to your business to go to the next level. And Gary's his time is very, very valuable. So it's, I'm real grateful that we were able to put together this, and he's been gracious enough to put together a little package here for our members too as well. So thank you so much for that, Gary. And I'm gonna bring you on the line here. We're going to be talking about mastering the art of follow through. How are you doing today, Gary?
I'm doing well. How are you, Ryan?
I am good. Okay, cool.
Awesome.
So
thanks for taking some time with me here. I'm looking forward to spending time with everybody as well. This is awesome.
Awesome. Okay, cool, man. Well, so you know that in my world here, our members are network marketers, and we teach some simple strategies of how they can roll up their sleeves and kind of go to work and pick up the phone and make connections with networkers and build relationships and all that good stuff. So when we talked about this mastering the art of follow through, it really lines well with with our team. So I guess define for us, if you would, what does follow through mean to you in business in your world?
Well, I think it's everything, Ryan. I mean, think about it. How many people have you seen or spoke to or heard that they have goals and everybody has dreams? And the thing is if we don't follow through, nothing happens. We don't get results. Now, the other side of that too, Ryan, is we know that if we follow through, we get results. Everybody knows that. But then why psychologically are we not doing it or doing enough of it? Because the more of it we do, obviously the more results that we get, and everybody wants to get more results. So I think it's such a key, vital subject, not only to listen to, but to master, because this is the only way we get results. And for those who know me, you'll know how massively persistent I am and how I follow through. And for those who don't, you will soon in this interview find out how I do this and the results and the millions I've made because of some of these principles that I apply in my regular life and also with my team.
Nice, nice. So I know you've worked with a ton of people from the corporate level in the network marketing world to the top end, the top leaders in the organization side of things. Do you have any examples of, some examples of people that you might have worked with that, that what their business looked like before really, really handling this follow-through side of things and what it looks like afterwards? Do you have any examples like that?
Well, I have a number of different examples. In fact, I'm, as you know, in the last, 2.5 or more years, I've been traveling in hotels literally every single day doing presentations all over the world. And I've got a new book out, You Can't Play a Nibble. It's The Catch That Counts. And that book, a lot of leaders, I mean, I know you have so many different organizations within your community, so I don't want to say one name and pick somebody else.
Yeah, that's fine.
My name or whatever. But this particular book, just the book alone, not just with coaching me or bringing me on stage, but this particular book alone talks about the psychology of following through. Not as much as, of course, as some of my other programs, but what it's done, a lot of leaders have gotten my program. They see the results, and they get more, and they get more, and they get more. The follow-through thing is so important. I'll give you an example of the mindset of that. I was on Inside Edition some time ago, and I'm not exaggerating. I spent over 2 years making 5,000 phone calls, over 2 years, day in and day out, over and over to get their attention. I just did a program recently with Donald Trump. I was paid tens of thousands of dollars to do this. I spent only an hour on stage. And that I spent maybe 12 years working and following through on this company to make it happen. And the key is if we don't have the right mindset, all these goals and dreams, and the funny thing is you see it all the time. You see all these people posting all this stuff and all these statements on Facebook and do this and do that. But many of the people posting it, they're not even doing it themselves. So one of the things I want to start discussing, as we go in our interview here, is giving people some specific strategies to help them be more efficient, to help them be more successful so they can take their business no matter where they're at and hopefully double it or, maybe 5X it or 10X it.
Nice. Yeah, very good. And we'd love to hear some of those strategies. Before we touch on the strategies, what do you think is the number one thing that really kind of stops people from, from following through? Do you think there's a block there that's blocking people from doing this?
Well, yeah, it's definitely a block, and there's different type of blocks. I think the biggest block is negative self-talk. We all have it. For example, let's say you have a lead that you're supposed to call. So you pick up the phone, you make the phone call, they don't call you back. And why in the world would you expect them to call you back? It's called a commission. That's what we should be doing. It's called networking, not net hanging around waiting for somebody to call us. So now we've made one attempt. They're not calling us back. And by the way, if you want to control your financial destiny, listen closely. You make the phone call. If you want to wait around for somebody to control your financial destiny that you know or may not even know, wait around for them to call you. Are you kidding me? That's financial suicide. So we have that phone number. We made one attempt. Of course, what should we do again? We should make another attempt. So we get ready to pick up the phone, and people say, the phone gets so heavy. The phone does not get any heavier. It was the same weight it was when it was manufactured. We don't have a fear of cold calling, but what we actually have is a little negative self-talk. And notice, Ryan, I said we, okay? I have it as well. I'm human. I'm no different than anybody else. But the thing is we have this negative self-talk that goes like this. I wonder if I call them again, I might be bugging them. I wonder if I call them again, I might call them too early in the day. Maybe I'm calling them too late at night. And before you know it, psychologically, whether you realize it or not, in a nanosecond, you justify why you should no longer call that person because of that little self-talk. You put the phone number away, you go get a brand new phone number, and you start all over again. And that's the worst thing you can do in marketing, because the key in marketing is you don't necessarily need a lot of leads, but you necessarily need to work your leads a lot. Allow me to repeat that. You do not necessarily need a lot of leads, but you necessarily need to work your leads a lot. And the reason people don't work their leads a lot is because they buy into the negative self-talk that they come up with that makes no sense, and because of that, they collapse and they don't do anything. So somebody like myself, how in the world can I be going after a company for 12 years? In fact, we're working on a TV show right now, and I was actually Sony TV saw me on another TV show. They contacted me right away. A week later, I was in L.A. sitting with the executives, and they decided they're not going to do it. So because I'm not a quote-unquote doctor or whatever. So that was 3 years ago. So what am I doing? I'm back on the phones now, and I'm calling again to rekindle interest. I call this producer 1 to 3 times every day or every other day. This is how we make things happen. So you've got to figure out why. How is it? What is it that I have that makes me massively persistent and follow through compared to other people who don't? And let me tell you what it is. I have mastered the discipline. Though I have negative self-talk, I have mastered the discipline to ignore it when it is not in harmony with my goals. Somebody who is not aware of their negative self-talk, or they may be aware of it, either way, they obey it and cave in, even though it's not going to support them and help them toward their goals. So these are the things, this is just some of the pieces of the puzzle that we have to work on. And if just sharing this information with you so far, hopefully it gets in your head that, wow, it really is a mind game. Because if we don't master that mind game, you stop and look at it, success really, it's simple. It's not necessarily easy. Look at the simplicity of things in life that we need to be successful at. For example, losing weight, all right? The simplicity of it is burn more calories than you take in. It doesn't get too much complicated than that. But why is it that majority of the public today, or many of them are even obese, because there's something going on in our head. There's a story, there's self-talk, and financial success is the same way. You know, make more money than you spend. Most people do the opposite of that. It's not that complicated, but because we got some stories, we got some junk, we got some self-talk going on, and we're not right in our head, for a lack of a better way of putting it, it causes some problems. So this is when we, when we focus on a lot of this stuff, this is what's going to take us to that next level so we can keep following through on all of our goals and our dreams and our desires.
That makes sense. I think it's that also we have these non-serving, habits that we don't even realize that's there, and it's ingrained. So we're on autopilot, either putting on more calories or spending more than we make there. So
right.
So in your mastering the art of follow through, I mean, can you kind of break it down for me? Like, what do you cover? How does this work in a practical sense?
Well, the programs that I have on follow through, you mean?
Yes.
Well, one of my programs, I have an actual program called Mastering the Art of Follow Through, and I talk about helping people identify some of their passions. And let me tell you why it's so important to be very passionate and how passion enables you to follow through. This is just one part of the quote-unquote formula. So you hear people say, and it's true, that if you do what you love every day, you won't have to work a day in your life. But why is that psychologically so powerful? The reason being is if you're really passionate about what you do, reality and common sense tells us that we're going to have struggles, period. So if we're passionate, I mean truly deeply passionate, what happens is when we do experience the hurdles or the struggles or the pain, the passion is what pushes us through and makes us, though it can be painful and difficult, the passion is what we use to fuel ourselves to push through the other side and break through the bad weather so we can get the sunny skies. And if we are not truly passionate about what we have, we're going to have a problem. And I think that's also a concern in the network marketing industry, is sometimes people have a problem thinking, well, why can't so-and-so figure this out? Why can't they get it in their head? I mean, it's so common sense. It just makes a lot of sense. Why won't they sign up? For the simple reason that blue might be my favorite color and green might be your favorite color. And if blue is my favorite color, you're going to have a hard time convincing me that green is my favorite color. I'm passionate about blue, not green.
Right.
So the thing is that if we can find truly what we're passionate about, and the type of products and services that we're offering, and I'm just ridiculously passionate about what I do, and that's what makes me unstoppable. So these are the things that help to add toward the ability to have the ability to follow through. So passion is one of the things that I focus on. And then another thing, too, is we have to control fear. That's very, very important. I've been very blessed that NBC has spent over $1 million producing my TV segments, as you know, Ryan, on mindset and behavior. And one of the things that we're working on in this TV show that I'm trying to put together is showing people how to reprogram it and rewire their fears, because that's so important. And another thing, too, is so important toward our success and following through is our ability to understand how to really set goals. So in this particular program, Mastering the Art of Follow Through, I show people how to do that effectively. A lot of people will tell you, you got to visualize and so on, and there's a lot of truth to that. But the thing is if you visualize and you don't know how to visualize effectively, you're going to look at a picture in your mind about something that you'd like to attain, and it's not going to feel real to you. And then what happens is you stop visualizing, and then that can also create a negative effect as well. So what I like to bring to the table with for people, Ryan, is I like to help them with different formulas. It's not just, to be a person who masters follow-through, you've got to have no fear. Well, there's truth to that, but if we say you've got to have no fear and you've got a lot of fear, now what? How do I break through that fear? How do I get through that? So one of the things that I offer is showing people the strategies on doing that, because I'm actually putting out a program that I'm going to be shooting in the Bahamas in a couple of weeks, which is kind of cool, is I show a person a really fat checklist from a Learjet. And as you know, I'm a pilot. Now, when I learned to fly years ago, a little single-engine airplane, the checklist for that is like 1 or 2 sheets of paper. That's it. It's a no biggie. Now, a checklist for a Learjet is like literally as thick as a Bible. But here's what's cool about it. When you're flying that Learjet, any problem that happens, there's an answer in that checklist. If you lose an engine and it shuts off, you go to the checklist, there's the solution. If you have an electrical problem, you go to the checklist, there's a solution. You get ready to land your airplane and the landing gear is not going down. There's your checklist, there's a solution. So what this program kind of does, it kind of gives you, okay, hey, look, we've got some problems. That's just realistic, right? It's life. So what's the checklist? So if we have a problem with a fear of failure, or we're not following through, or we don't have the ability in our minds to be passionate, well, here's the checklist. This is what we have to do. And when we have a source to go to get answers, it makes it a little easier, because when we don't have that source, we're kind of like, punching in the dark, hoping to hit something. And then it's like, bowling. You ever, bowled before? Think back to when you're bowling and you've never done it before. So you throw a ball and you get a gutter ball, right? Mm-hmm. And you get ready to try it again and you get another gutter ball. And you try again. You get maybe 2 or 3 pins, and you try again. And lo and behold, boom, you get a strike. And the craziest thing about that, even though we've never bowled before, we think because we got 1 strike that we're really going to be able to go back up and get another strike. Mm-hmm. So we get up there, thinking we're going to be all great, and we have that little fancy style and how we're going to throw the ball, and then we throw it, and what do we get? A gutter ball. Well, life shouldn't be that way. Success is strategies. So it shouldn't be hit or miss. It should be consistent. And when we understand how we think and what we can do to push the right buttons, this is what enables us to be more consistent in following through and having principles when, the engine fails today and we had a bad day and 20 people said no. What's my checklist to push through and go through that? And this is what I like to offer people, because that's what's going to get them tangible results to keep going and making things happen.
I love that, because I'm a systems kind of guy. So what I hear from everything that you're sharing there is, you can have some systems to connect, the direction and the goals that you're trying to achieve, and even systemize some of the roadblocks like the fears or some of those things that may come up, and a way to work through that very quickly and get back on track. Is that what it sounds like?
You're pushing the right buttons for me, because I'm obsessed with systems. I have a system for a system for a system, and I want that in my life. I want to know, when I feel something, why am I feeling it and how can I change it? And I'm very blessed that there isn't an emotion or a feeling that I experience that I don't know why, and more importantly, how to change it. And that's a system. There's certain things that if I feel this way and it's not the greatest feeling, boom, I know what to do to switch gears, as opposed to rewarding it, slowing down, not picking up the phone, waiting for a day or two because I can't take it anymore and I got to have a little break, and before you know it, the break lasts a week. But yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. Yeah, it's a must.
How would you say this all ties into, there's activity that relates to the direction, the goal, whether it's prospecting or, creating an ad or anything of that nature. There's activity that relates to the direction that you're trying to go. How would you say, how would you connect the dots between this is my goal, this is some of the things that are, that my fears around going after this goal, and here's the activities that I need to go do? How do you connect all of them?
Funny you say that, because, as I'm winding off the road here a little bit, I'm doing some of this coaching, and I'm meeting a lot of network marketing companies and people. And I think one of the biggest mistakes, Ryan, that people make is, if you get a piece of paper and at the bottom of the paper you draw a simple little line, and that's the line where we presently are. Everybody's there. You know, it might be $1 million for some people, 5,000 for others. And then if you go a couple inches on that page above that line, let's say that's where we want to go. Well, what happens is people see where they are, and they have these huge lofty goals. I want to make $1 million, but they're not doing the necessary things to see, well, what's it take to make $1 million? Let's figure out what we can do to make $1,000 this month or $500. Let's figure out the activities just to get $500 a week. I mean, $1 million a year is $3,000 a day, all right? Mm-hmm. So most people don't even know that. They go, I want to make $1 million a year. Well, how much is that a day? I don't know. Well, you got to know that. You got to have somewhere to start. So now you start saying, holy crap, $3,000 a day, that's a lot of money. Yeah, it is. But for some reason, when we say we want to make $1 million, it doesn't seem to be that big, but it's big. So I encourage people to, first of all, when they start getting checks from their company, is to put the money in a business account. Then draw yourself a check on a weekly basis. So now, if you're not putting much money in your business account, how in the world are you going to cut yourself a weekly check of $100 if you're only making $50 a week from your efforts? So now we start saying, okay, we got a problem here. We got to step our game up. And that makes it a lot more tangible and a lot more real, so then they can start working to $3,000 a day. Or $1,500 a day is $500,000 a year. So I think where we get wrong on that is we know where we're at, and we have these huge lofty goals, and we want them, and I encourage those big goals, that's for sure. But we got to bring them down to reality first. Let's see what we can do to make the first 500, then the first 1,000. And so on and so on. That way we understand the activities. If I really want that paycheck this week, and yes, it's a paycheck, it's a job. If you're going to have the right work ethics in your business, you better treat it like a job. So what I do is I do this for myself. So I know the activities that I'm going to do this week. I get a paycheck. I get a paycheck like everybody else in my company. And if I want to double my paycheck, I've got to double or do more activity before I am worthy of getting more on a weekly basis.
Wow, that's so powerful that you say that. Taking the goals and breaking it down to the simplest form and the simplest activities. I think of something that years ago I had a roommate of mine. I was living with this couple, and they were really into fitness, and I was really average, out of shape kind of guy at the time.
Right.
And I would always ask them for some help, and so she decides that she's going to coach me, and she did something very, very genius that stuck with me to this day, which was, she said it was going to be very, very simple. She said 3 miles a day and no food after 7 o'clock at night. That's it. Okay?
Yeah.
So we drove in the car. We found a spot that was a mile and a half out, and my job was to go touch that spot and come back to the house. So that's my 3 miles. And no food after 7 o'clock at night. And if I miss a day, it was 7 days a week. If I missed a day, it was a $20 fine. Okay. And it was genius because I was doing this every day because I even when I felt like I didn't want to do it, I was just thinking about this fine, and I'm like, there's no way. And I remember being sick, where I was like really, really sick, and I said, hey, I'm sick today. And she said, hey, no problem. You can take the day off, but it's a $20 fine. And I remember running and kind of walking out to that marker to make it back while I was still sick, and because I didn't want to pay this fine. And it taught me that lesson where I'm not depending on my feelings. I committed to this, and I created an environment that it was more painful not to do this activity whether I was feeling good or not.
Sure.
It stuck through it. So that's what I got out of what you're saying there. So awesome. I love it.
Well, the thing is, Ryan, we are programmed to be a slave to our feelings. I mean, think about it. When you feel sad, you act sad. When we feel happy, we act happy. What we need to learn to do is when we feel sad, we got to try to act what? Happy.
Mm-hmm.
So why is that so difficult? Because we've been wired. I mean, think about it. The most impressionable part of our lives as a human is usually the first 5 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we're an infant, when we're hungry, what do? We cry. When we want to go to the bathroom, what do? We cry. We have no control of our emotions. So for the first half of our life, we are the most impressionable part of our lives. We're a total slave to our feelings. So the problem with that is if you don't learn how to master your emotions and your feelings, the biggest problem with that is when you get some rejection is a feeling. And if we don't know how to master that feeling, now we become a slave to the feeling because we're so prone to when we feel sad, we act happy. Sad, when we feel happy, we act happy. Well, we got to learn to ignore those feelings because if we don't, we become a slave to them. And that's when you can't massively take a tremendous amount of action because people who take massive action like myself, people who massively follow through, one of the things they have learned to do is not necessarily master their emotions where they're always happy, but learn how to push through them no matter what. Because if you don't do that, you're going to be a slave. So the problem here is you're going to be a roller coaster. When you feel sad, you act sad. So when somebody says no to you and you feel rejected, what do? Well, we had planned to call 20 people. The first person made us really sad and upset, so we stopped making phone calls, and there goes the 19 other people, and we're going to put that off till tomorrow or the next day, or hopefully something comes wrong that makes us happy. That way now we're being controlled by external stimuli instead of us internally learning how to control and master our own thought process.
Yep, love it. So cool, Gary, as we wrap this up here, I know you put together a special little package here for the MLM Recruiter on Demand members. What's the details on that?
Well, what I'll do, I've got an amazing program, Mastering the Art of Follow-Through. It's usually like a $300-400 program. I'll offer it to your members for $199. It's an audio program, 12 audio CDs. It's got a workbook with it. And I'll tell you what I'll do as a bonus. I've got another program. It's a $50 value. It's an hour and 10 minutes, I believe, hour and a half. It's how to create the persistent mindset of a millionaire. So those two programs really go hand in hand. And I'll make sure my programmer or my IT guy gets it set up where you can figure out, Ryan, how you want to have your members make sure they get that, or we'll put together a page or something. We'll include that free bonus for them as well because they definitely go hand in hand, and that's the programs that will help people really understand how to rewire their thought process and get more results.
Wow, great. That's great. That's so gracious of you, Gary. Thanks for doing that. And this topic here really hits home for us. And sometimes I think that I kind of operate on autopilot where we've kind of worked through some of this stuff, but to really visit it in a program where you can really see those blind spots for yourself, I think is really important.
Very important.
For going to the next level of business. Yeah.
Very true.
Cool, Gary. Well, thank you so much for your time today, and we'll put this interview up, and we'll put the link underneath the to this audio and all that stuff to the to the link to your page. So thank you so much for doing that.
And thank you so much for your trust and allowing me to spend time with everybody in your community, Ryan. I'm looking really forward to maybe doing some more stuff with you guys. And everybody, remember, between now and the next time, hopefully we get to chat. Don't let anything or anyone rent space in your head. Thanks so much for taking your time to listen today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.